Welcome to the first video on this new channel. Today I'm looking at French Classics #1. It's a disc from the public domain library called Robot PD, and they had a various set of videos, demos even, and they grouped them by topics. So I'm just working through some of those, and this is the first one, French Classics #1. So, first of all, let's have a look at what's on the disc. We've got a few different demos here. Equalizor. Let's run that one. Okay. Very sort of simple scroll thing. Don't hack, please. It's funny. That often comes from crackers who are hacking other people's stuff. Anyway, little Morse code. Who knows? So it's loading some second part. Probably a basic loader that then bootstraps the rest of it, because that first part was really quite simple. Okay, it's a good start. Really not much there, is there? Let's restart this and try something else. Perhaps it was doing some processing in the background that I wasn't aware of, but yeah, I haven't got that much patience, I'm sorry. Malibu 3. Right. Hopefully this is a bit more promising. Yeah. Another very similar intro. In fact, I think it's possibly from the same person. So now pressing the key. Please wait for it. Okay, a bit quick. Nice little mode 1 mode screen. Probably looks like 4 colours. Bit of dithering patterns to make it look like it's a bit more. And I think the screen is normal size. There's no overscan stuff going on. It's probably a reasonably early demo. Intro number 3 from Malibu Crackers. That's quite a nice little image. Ooh. So we've got a scroll at the bottom. First thing to notice is that is actually the width of the screen seems to have been adjusted that way, and so we've got a full height display and slightly narrower. So they're doing something with the screen size and adjusting that. Got some nice sort of colour shifting on the scroll at the bottom, and then there's this massive logo that's moving at the top, which is really quite a nice effect. I think I'm thinking that probably what's happening is that it is probably a software scroll, because actually the number of lines that adjust on each frame is actually isn't that many. We see lots of colours moving, but it's very likely that colours are just a palette shifting. It looks like it's a mode 0, so there'll be plenty of colours to play with, and we're only displaying 4, I think. So a shift through for that, and then some kind of software thing, because it's not actually updating many lines at a time, I think. Yeah, it's a really nice effect. I like that a lot. Yeah, nice. Huh. There's some sample speech. It was reasonably unusual and reasonably clear, actually. That was quite good. It's very easy for some of those things to be very fuzzy and really not clear at all. I like the static pattern, actually. I think that's actually quite hard to do well, so it looks like real static, because it's random noise. It's the chipmunk version, brilliant. scroll, bit of music. Oh, that's kind of funky. Adds a little bit of something extra to what would otherwise be a very boring, very flat sort of standard scroll. I think that's not going to let me do anything more, so I'm going to restart that, but yeah, it's a nice little intro. So, next up, we have over 2, I think. Just going through them in the order that's on the disc. We'll see what's there. Ooh, now this is quite advanced. I wonder when this was actually written. Overflow, I think I remember from Logon system, and some of the things there. But this is, I mean, straight away we're into overscan. We're at full overscan, almost full overscan. Certainly width, maybe not quite height. But we have got, so at the top we've got a really nice vertical scroll. I mean, the first thing I'll note is that it is the same thing over and over again, and I believe that will be because of the way that it's buffered. So there's only a certain amount of screen or of memory space for the buffer as it's scrolling through. And so it's just sort of scrolling through the same loop over and over again. But it's very nice. I mean, they have to have, there's also a star field in the background. So the star field has to have been being updated over top of that. Presumably the pixels get removed and re-added every frame. That's nice. It looks like high resolution too. So it's probably mode 2. So the highest resolution graphics. Very nice. You've got some kind of clock at the bottom, and then a really nice offset raster pattern. So these are the colours as they're changed across the screen. They're just offset by a little bit on each line, so you get these diagonal effects, which is really nice. That's also mode 2. Because that's a really high resolution piece of text, and the colour's being changed on the background, and that's being drawn in the main pen, and then the main sort of colour, and then the background colour's being changed, which just makes it sort of stand out as a shadow, not a shadow, like a silhouette. This one, and that looks great. It's a really simple effect, but really nice. And then I love this little writer along here. That's just really, and then they fall away, and then they sort of come in again, and then they fall away. That's nice. It's just really simple. Not a lot of processing power to update it, but it just looks really nice. So that's great. And then we've got another raster, but it's changing colour in blocks across the screen, and then the offset is being shifted enough so it sort of scrolls across. And then this really nice, the letters just scroll, form messages. Again, really simple effect, but nice. The music's good. I'm really enjoying that. And what's this last bit? What's really interesting about this writer is a very smooth drawing of the letters, which actually takes a little bit of work because they're not full pixel width. I think they must be mode 1 text, I think, and mode 1 pixels will have 4 pixels per byte, 4 pixels per byte, and so actually to make that draw really smoothly. There's a little bit of extra work to go on there. It's nice. It's a really nice effect. And then when it wipes it, it just sort of does that fast as individual characters. Yeah, it's a slick presentation. It's the sort of thing I think you begin to see in some of the demos. So the demo by Logon System, which Overflow contributes to, you see something of this slickness. Now I don't know if this demo came first or after the demo, but it's got that real polish. And sadly, I suspect in a lot of the demos that we watch, they're not going to be this slick. This is top-notch stuff. Right. I think I just have to reset it to get out of it. So I think this is now the last one on this side of the disc. So most of these public domain discs, because we had reversible 3-inch discs, came with two sides. So you've got two lots of demos for the price of one. It's probably, I think, like 50 pence or £1, something like that per copy. So we're definitely into an overscan screen here. So the scroll is going right across the entire width of the screen. I think we've almost certainly got some raster beams across for the colours. I would have thought so. I mean, there's not a lot else going on the screen. It depends whether the scroll is a software scroll or a hardware scroll. If it's a hardware scroll, then almost certainly those are all raster beams, raster bars. However, if it's not, then the processing time to actually do that width of scroll and then do all of those as raster bars is probably not enough with the music, with the sprites as well. So it might be, but it's also possible to fake raster bars, I think, by changing the palette at various points along the screen and then just drawing solid bars. And in many cases that might be not sure. It's probably proper raster bars, to be honest. Can't imagine they'd have faked it. Well, I like this. That animation of the little balls going backwards and forwards around the logo is actually really simple, but really quite effective, and it's making something about this whole thing come alive. Otherwise it would just be the sort of static balls at the bottom, some very static raster bars and a scroll. But that's a really nice little effect that makes the whole thing come together really quite well. Yeah, nice. There's a second part to this. That's a bit. It was a nice effect until there was a bit of jank at the bottom. And now the scroll is. See, that makes me wonder whether the scroll on the last one was actually a software scroll. Because if you go into all this trouble, wouldn't you just create a nice font? If you've got a nice hardware scroll. I don't know. That's a bit of a letdown, I think. I really like that effect. That effect as it unrolls, that's really nice. Apart from the jank at the bottom. The image itself is it's alright for the time maybe, but if you look at the sort of graphics we get now, it's a little bit weak. Certainly on the edges, these sort of very similar blocks of colour. Anyway. Okay, so it goes back. I wonder if we can go back and see that unfurl again. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's quite nice. Yeah, that's a nice effect. Like that. Cool. So I'll get the next side of the disc, and then we can see what we have there. Intox. Brilliant. Cracked by long shot of logon. Malibu Coders Intox. Discology could be SCP. So I wonder if this was an intro to the game or whether this is, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But so straight into full screen, big scroll. That's a really nice font. Really nice font. The logo at the top's really clean. Right, some colours. We've got like a checkerboard effect, which is, I've always wanted to write one of these actually. They're made with a static pattern, bitmap pattern, and then some raster bars that change the colours all the way through it to provide the steps. So it's like a heart chessboard. You don't have the complete chessboard. But static pattern, raster bars over which change it. It's a nice effect though. And the music really seems to make this. I like it. Yeah. This scroll. Wow. So there's a scroll with a sort of static, a background that is changing along the way. So we've got it sort of scrolling with the text, and then we have at the bottom some raster bars that are looking at the volume on each of the channels of the sound chip. So it has 3 channels, and it's just looking at the value of that and drawing the length of the raster bars according to that. I love that effect. It's one of the few that I actually managed to get working in one of my demos. Perhaps we'll see that one day. It's not quite as good as that, to be honest, but I did like it. And this is kind of interesting scroll as well. So it's sort of changing where it draws the next part of the text as it goes. So we get this effect. Now what's really interesting now, and this is really interesting, the background is moving, I think it is, unless it's an optical illusion, the background is now moving slower than the text itself, so that's a really interesting effect. I'm not quite sure how they've done that. In order to get this whole scroll going though, that has to be a hardware scroll. It's absolutely a hardware scroll. There's no way you can move that amount of the screen in one go to draw that. The Amstrad is just not capable of doing that much in a single frame to keep this running at 50 Hz. By the way, if you see any sort of jumps in the video, that's likely an artifact of the video, when this is a video or the emulation. If it's run on real hardware, this will be as slick and as smooth as anything. I think this is really good. This is a nice, polished demo. I'd be very pleased if I'd written this. Right, and then that resets. So we can move on to the next one. Sky. Ooh. Nice. That's good. So what's going on here is we've got, I would argue that this is one set of raster bars. So as the electron beam is moving across the screen, it's changing. And the fastest you can do that on any line amounts to basically the width of these bars. there are 64 no operation instructions that you could run to get from one side to the other. I think that includes a little bit of the stuff that's off the display, so that just limits the number of things. And an out instruction, I think, is either 3 or 4 no operations, depending on which one you use. And the output on the Z80 is a bit weird, so to actually make that work, you can load registers ahead of time and then change it backwards and forwards across the thing to get, and that might get you a bit more, a few more of these bars than if you just set a value and write it. And then obviously there must be some sort of animation, some either updating of a table or reading a different table. I've never quite got something quite as dynamic as this going, so that's something I'm going to have to explore someday. This is nice. I'm not sure if it's going to do anything more though. I'll press space. Ooh, okay. Right, so these are some pretty involved raster bars now. You've got a pattern where they are sort of rotating, but they're also rotating around each other. Each one is rotating itself. So that's nice. I think this stuff is table driven, but the other thing that is interesting is it switches from, there's a switch almost like from background to foreground, so that it goes around the text. So that's interesting as well. I'm not quite sure. How that happens. I think perhaps you have to write the background. I'm just thinking about it now. Perhaps you have to write both the background and the foreground colour on some lines and not on others. It's probably I think that'll be what it is. When it's behind, you're drawing both the foreground and just the background colour. You're setting that at the beginning of the line, and when it's in front, you set the foreground and the background colour at the same time, and then the rest of it as it goes across is just all one thing, and it ignores. In effect, you can't see the logo that's behind. So this is kind of interesting though. I would have thought there could have been a really nice high-res Mode 2 logo there, something really quite spectacular. I mean, it's fine because the rasters are really quite spectacular, but could have been a bit more. I love the disk drive sound. So we've got, this is interesting. I think there's a whole pile of different effects here that are using the volume from the sound. We've got 5 bars across, and that'll be a raster effect, I think, to do that. This at the top. They obviously using one channel and then duplicating to the other 2 channels. And then there's also like these ST logos somewhere in the middle here that are flickering on and off, just pulsing as things happen. I think. I'm not quite sure if that's what they're doing, but they certainly, maybe they're going with different tones or something, different instruments. They don't quite seem to fit with the volume parts of it, so they might be reacting to something different. And we have a massive scroll at the bottom, which has to be a hardware scroll. It's like that size, again, just can't be anything other than a hardware scroll. It's moving reasonably fast. Font is a bit naff, but you know, I never got hardware scroll working, so you know I can't say anything. It's overscan. We've got the nice picture. Is that from Equalizor or something, or one of those games that I was never any good at. And then we've got this little sort of animating, shifting little scroll. I guess it's a scroll, or does the text repeat quite quickly? Yeah, it's pretty good. A little bit, and it could be really polished, but it's really pretty good. Right, and that's the end then of that demo. I think that was Sky. So TMS 2. I'm pretty sure we've heard this tune already, haven't we? If not, it will crop up again, I'm sure. There's so many of these that they just use the same tunes. I was guilty of it as well. I think I used a hacked version of the Stormlord music for one of my demos, and that's sort of how it goes, especially if you're a coder and you're not particularly brilliant at music. You might be able to manage some of the graphics, but music is often a little bit outside your comfort zone. So this is nice, little Starfield. It's not an overscan screen, so it's reasonably limited, but I can't tell how many colours we've got, whether we've actually really got any raster effects or anything to do anything fancy there. I suspect not. Starfield going across 2 different speeds of stars. So that'll be a software effect. That has to be a deleting and replacing of a pixel every however often they update. I don't know if they're updating at 50 frames. I guess the slower ones might not. And then this scroll at the bottom has to be a software scroll. It's a nice little effect. I think the way that this is normally done is that you actually have a lookup table of values, and you're literally copying from one place to the next to the next. I think that's how it's done. And that's probably done in mode 0, which I think probably makes it easier because you only have two pixels per thing. But it's nice. It's a nice little effect. I'm not sure I can actually read it particularly well, despite if I can read French well, I can only read little bits, but it's actually quite hard to see on that background. But yeah, good fun. So I think that is it though. So that was TMS 2, and then we have Trash. Let's hope it's not. Mr. Plus on the Krados OS Crackers present Trash Megademo. Amazing scroll, only important things like the credits and other things like that. I think that the text in scrolls sometimes comes from it's just hard to know what to write, I think, and there was an expectation that you have to write something. Right, let's see, let's just move on. Krados Crackers present Trash. Interesting, yeah, like this is a mode 2 high resolution black and white image. I saw this, and we'll look at some English demos. but they copied this style, and we'll see that sometime. Let's have a look. This is Overscan Megademo, so hopefully at some point we might see some Overscan. Don't think we've seen any yet. This music's used a lot in demos. It's etched, burned into my memory. I know one demo that we'll definitely see with it. But wow, this is an Overscan demo. This is nice. Trash demo. It's a nice sort of colourful graphics at the top. Pillars holding up the sides. Amiga and straight on IBM. I assume that's the sort of the systems that they were acting on cracking. A little raster changing the colour on this text writer, and the scroll down the ends. That is quite a nice scroll text. I would have thought it's a hardware scroll. These are the size. And the other things that are going on. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Often, just press a few keys and see if any of them do anything, because some of the demos have got to the point where you can press 1, 2, 3 and have different tunes and different things happening, but I think that's it for that one. That's nice. I like that. So, that brings to an end the French Classics #1 disc from Robot PD. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, like the video, subscribe, comment, all that YouTube jazz that, it just helps, to be honest, it helps me be a little bit more motivated to produce some more content. I mean, I enjoy doing this, but it is extra work to produce the video. So, just let me know if you want to see more of this content, if you'd like to hear a little bit more about how these effects work, like a deep dive into some of the effects. Perhaps we could write a demo, that sort of thing. Just let me know. And, hope to see you in the next video.